I'd like to call this meeting of the Sacramento Area Flood Control Agency to order on April 15th, 2021. Will the clerk please call roll and establish a quorum?
Thank you. Director Koenig?
Yes, present.
Director Abdus?
Here.
Director Jones?
Here.
Director Holloway? Director Shaw?
Here.
Director Ashby? Director Harris?
Here.
Director Jennings?
I am here.
Director Desmond?
Here.
Director Frost?
Here.
Director Kennedy?
Here.
Director Natoli? Director Cernan?
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Thank you, Lindy, very much. Would you all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? And Matt Conant, would you lead us?
Yes. Salute. Pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the United States
of America and to the republic for
which it stands,
one nation
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and
justice for all.
All right, thank you, everybody. Appreciate that. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments not on the agenda?
I have not received any. Director Harris.
Very good. Let's move on then to the Executive Director's report and Mr. Johnson.
I have to unmute myself. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to do a very short executive director report today because we got a pretty hefty agenda, but I do want to hit a couple of things really quick. As you know, SAFCA is a member of the National Waterways Conference, and National Waterways Conference, just as a reminder to especially our new board members, it's the national organization that basically makes up all the core sponsors and other organizations and groups and contractors that work with the Corps in flood control, ecosystem, navigation, ports, and all that. Lindy, if you go to the next slide. So SAFCA is going to be hosting on June 1st and, go back up.
Sorry.
So on June 1st and 2nd, we'll be hosting the regional meeting that is just going to be focused here in California. And the purpose of the meeting will be to have help the participant understand the Corps better, learn their process for best practices. But from our standpoint, trying to get the Corps national headquarters, a lot of the national folks that will also be participating in this, a little more aware of our issues out here in California. So this was a great opportunity. Lindy, if you go to the next slide, please. We do have, these are all confirmed, have the Brigadier General Owens from South Pacific Division Commander, have each of the colonels from Los Angeles District, Sacramento District, and San Francisco District are all arranged to speak. We also have the top civilian at each district and the division are all going to speak. We do have headquarters. We do have state flood control leaders at the Department of Water Resources that are going to participate, as well as sponsors from each part, Southern California, the Bay Area, Northern California. So we're truly making this a California effort, and it'll be the afternoons of June 1st and 2nd, and it's free for everyone to participate. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. Lindy, if you go to the next slide, please. So now that I brought this up at executive committee, but I just want to remind everybody we're in April now, and so construction is going to be starting, basically already has on most of these contracts. Currently, there's 7 major ones going on right now. In Natomas, the Corps has 3 up at the north side along the cross canal there. They're rebuilding pumping plant number 4. Down on the lower side of Natomas along the East Main Drain, Natomas East Main Drainage Canal, they're going to be finishing up Reach H, which they started in 2019 and have a little bit of work left to do on that, but that should be finished up this summer.
And Rick, can I interrupt there?
Yes.
On Reach H, the balance of the work is north of Interstate 80, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
It is. Yeah. And then also, there's some work to do at the toes of the levee that the real estate hadn't been attained yet, and that's part of what we'll be taking today so that they can finish that up too. So that's right, Jeff. Appreciate that. And then over on Reach B, which is primarily slurry wall work with new adjacent levee, that started last year and will be going full speed this year. So, Lenny, if you go to the next slide. Then hopping across the river over to the Lower Elkhorn Basin there is part of the Common Features 2016 work. The state is setting back the north levee of the Sacramento bypass and the east levee of the Yolo bypass. And then SAFCA is redoing the internal drainage for the new reconfigured basin there, as well as building a new pumping plant to replace the 3 that are being removed as part of the Levels project. And then let me go to the next slide. Then down in the pocket area, the Corps is moving forward with contract 2, primarily slurry wall work in the areas that are shown in red there. So these are the 7 big ones that are working right now, and then as we've discussed over the last couple of months, there's a whole slew of new contracts that are going to be awarded during this year. Some will actually may see some physical construction starting this year, but most of what gets awarded this year will be starting next year. So with that, I'll see if there's any questions.
Okay, any questions from committee members? I don't see anybody. Rick, I just have to say that this is really gratifying, seeing all of this production after working for all the authorizations and appropriations back in 2016. To see this come to fruition is, it's just remarkable to have this much investment and this much work in our neighborhood. It's really great, and it's a testament to the not just the scope and capability of our SAFCA staff. You guys have really moved a mountain here, and I appreciate it very much.
Well, thank you, and the Corps is doing a tremendous amount of work, much more than they're used to doing anytime, and our state partners too. So it's an effort by everybody. So appreciate that. Thank you, Jeff.
Absolutely that, but this meeting you're going to have, can you just rename it Core Fest?
Well, yeah. I mean, really, the purpose was to try to make the Corps leadership available to everybody to talk to. That's kind of what we did there. So they've been. I reached out. I reached out to all the districts and the colonels and the district civilian. They've all been very accommodating, so it's great.
I think it's great. That's really a good thing to make the Corps accessible to everybody, and I would look forward to participating.
Good.
Be a nice thing to attend.
Great, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. If there's no other comments from directors of the board, we'll move on to consent matters. Lindy.
Thank you. Consent matters items 2 through 8 are in order.
Do we have any director comments, concerns, questions? Anybody want to discuss any particular item on consent?
Avdis move approval of consent.
Second, Conan.
A motion by Avdis, a second by Conant. No discussion that I see. So, Lindy, will you call the roll for a vote?
Thank you. Director Conant? Director Conant?
Aye.
Director Avdis?
Aye.
Director Jones?
Aye.
Director Holloway? Director Holloway? Director Shaw?
Aye.
Director Ashby? Director Harris,
Aye.
Director Jennings,
Aye.
Director Desmond,
Aye.
Director Frost. Aye. Director Kennedy,
Aye.
Director Natoli,
Aye.
Director Cerna.
Aye.
Motion passes with 11-member approval.
Thank you, Lindy. Appreciate that. Directors, the next couple of items are resolutions of necessity, and we discussed at the last board meeting that a number of these would be coming, largely because we have a lot of money and we have a lot of projects and we have a short time to accomplish all of that. And as we discussed last time, the state tossed over to SAFCA a lot of acquisitions that needed to be accomplished that the state was not able to effect. And that has in fact happened. So we have before us several resolutions of necessity. The way I'd like to do it is call a public hearing for each of the two items, 9 and 10. I'll open the public hearing. We'll have a presentation probably by Matt DeGroot. Open it up to the public if there's any public testimony, then testimony by directors. We'll close the public hearing and then take a vote on the RONs. That being said, Madam Clerk, could you start us off with number 9?
Thank you. Separate matters, item 9, a public hearing, resolution of necessity number 2021-038, authorizing an eminent domain action to condemn a real property interest for the Reach A component of Phase 4B of the American River Watershed Program, Natomas Levee Improvement Project. Fee interest and access easement acquisition over portions of Sacramento County Assessor's Parcel Numbers 274-0260-045 and 274-0260-046. Property owners Desmond E. Hutton and Mary E. Hutton, trustees of the Trust of Desmond E. and Mary E. Hutton, dated 3/21/91, and Sean Hutton, pursuant to Section 1245240 of the California Code of Civil Procedure. This item requires a 2/3 or 9-member approval vote to pass.
Thank you very much, Lindy. So I would like to now open the public hearing and ask Mr. DeGroot to give us a presentation. But before you do, Matt, I'd just like to make a comment. If you look in the packet, the published packet on these issues, there's a tremendous amount of information there. And I think that if you have any questions, they certainly will be answered in those documents. But this is, of course, a forum for the public and directors to present any information, ask any questions, and hopefully we can answer all of them. So, Mr. DeGroot, you want to go ahead?
Good afternoon, directors of the board. My name is Matt DeGroot, the Real Estate Program Manager for SAFCA. And before you, we have Resolution of Necessity number 2021-038. Again, it is a resolution of necessity authorizing an eminent domain action to condemn real property for the Reach A component of the American River Watershed Program, Natomas Levee Improvements Project, for fee interest and access easement acquisitions over portions of Sacramento County APM parcel numbers 274-0260-045 and 274-0260-046. And again, the property owners are Desmond E. Hutton and Mary E. Hutton, trustees of the Desmond E. and Mary E. Hutton Trust, dated 3/21/91, and additionally Sean Hutton. So this property is located at 2320 Garden Highway in the Natomas Basin area of Sacramento County. And the acquisition of the property rights is required for the Sacramento River East Levee Reach A component of the aforementioned project. Attachment A here is a map of the Natomas Levee improvement reaches. And you can see Reach A is down toward the bottom left of the map. Attachment B is a map of the property, which is located, again, at 2320 Garden Highway in the Thomas Basin area of Sacramento County. And you can see the location toward the bottom left, designated by the APMs and the arrows pointing right over off of Garden Highway there. So attachment C is a sketch showing the levee improvements along Reach A, which include installing adjacent levee, cutoff walls, seepage berms, operation and maintenance roads on the land side of the new levee, and relocation of any existing utility infrastructure. This particular property is encumbered by, it's going to be a deep cutoff wall there, and it'll be a patrol road on the land side of the levee, and also an access ramp that will be going to the levee. Attachment D to the staff report is project description and necessity for the acquisitions. Attachment D1 describes the environmental compliance documents supporting the project. Attachment D2 describes the environmental considerations that were involved in selecting the woodland and grassland mitigation sites for the project. And attachment DC outlines various reasons for the design of the project. On September 10th of 2019, SAFCA sent a letter to the property owners advising them that the upcoming levee improvements project will affect their property. And on December 10th of 2019, SAFCA sent a letter to the property owners advising them that SAFCA was preparing an appraisal to acquire a portion of their property in fee and additionally an access easement over another portion of the project. On February 5th of 2020, SAFCA sent a revised letter to the property owners advising them that a staging area may additionally be needed on their property. On August 17th of 2020, SAFCA provided a formal offer to purchase a portion of the property in fee and an additional access easement for the full fair market value that was determined by the appraisal. Attachment I to the staff report are the diary of discussions between SAFCA's right-of-way acquisition consultant and the owner, during which they discussed the potential effects of the project on the property and the requirement that the property would be needed to be acquired in fee, and an access easement to support the project and the right-of-way acquisition process. In between SAFCA's written offer and the negotiation, we were unable to reach signed agreements. So on March 26th of 2021, SAFCA did mail a written notice to the owner of the property advising them that this board would hold a hearing at a regular board meeting today at this time to consider the adoption of a resolution of necessity to acquire the property by eminent domain. So Exhibit A to the resolution, Resolution 2021-038, is the legal description of the portion that will be acquired in fee for APNs 274-0260, 045, and 274-060-046. And Exhibit B is the plat map of the area that will be acquired in fee. You can see the area toward the middle of the exhibit, the rectangular area that is crosshatched. So that will be the fee area, fee acquisition that will be on the line side tail of the new levee. And this is an exhibit showing the legal description of the easement, the access easement portion that is needed for the project on this property. And Here is the map of that depicting that access easement area. It is the kind of the odd shape toward the middle right of the exhibit. And this will be where the access ramps come up to the levee over the property. So again, this particular property owner, we've come a long way with this property owner. There was a pretty big divide when we started, but we've been diligently negotiating with him. Come a long way. We're not quite there yet. We're hopeful that we'll be able to, strike a deal with him and formally settle this acquisition. However, in order to preserve our timeline to certify this property to the core, we feel we need to take this action here today and request this resolution of necessity from you.
Matt, does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, it does. I'm available for any questions if you have any.
Okay, well, very good. Are there any questions? Well, actually, before we go to questions from directors, I'd like to ask the clerk if there's any public testimony.
Chairman Harris, I have not received any, and I just now checked my email and also have not received any requests.
Okay, very good. Then I'd like to open it up to questions from directors.
This is Director Holloway. I'll move the staff recommendation.
We have a motion by Holloway.
Desmond seconds.
And a second by Desmond. Matt, I did have one question. Does this acquisition affect any buildings on the property that the owner might have?
No, it doesn't. As part of the negotiations, the owner wants a lot line adjustment done on this property, which could affect his potential future use of the property where some buildings are located, and so he can maximize the use out of that. So that's part of our ongoing negotiations with him.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Any other questions by directors? I do not see or hear any. We have a motion and a second. I will then close the public hearing, and I would ask the clerk to call a roll call vote.
Thank you. Director Koenig,
Aye.
Director Abdis,
Aye.
Director Jones,
Aye.
Director Holloway,
Aye.
Director Shaw,
Aye.
Director Ashby, Director Harris,
Aye.
Director Jennings,
Aye.
Director Desmond,
Aye.
Director Frost, Director Frost, Director Kennedy,
Aye.
Director Natoli, Director Natoli, Director Cerna.
Aye.
Motion passes with.
Lindy, I'm an aye. This is Sue.
Thank you.
Sorry.
So thank you. So noted. Motion passes with 11-member approval.
Very good. Thank you, Lindy. We can move right on to item 10.
Item 10, separate matters, public hearing resolution of necessity, authorizing eminent domain action to condemn real property interest for the Reach H component of Phase 4B of the American River Watershed Program, Natomas Levee Improvement Project. Fee interest acquisition of portions of Sacramento County Assessor's parcel numbers 2740173-040 and 2740173-021, property owner Jose A. Enriquez. Assessor's parcel number 2740173-026, property owner Mario M. Fabian. Assessor's parcel number 2740173-028, property owner Mayra D. Gutierrez. Assessor's parcel number 2740173-038, property owner Maria A. Sanchez and Victor U. Sanchez. Assessor's parcel number 2740173-024, property owner Linda Susan Martinez. and assessor's parcel number 274-0173-042. Property owner Dennis J. Spanos and Rebecca L. Spanos, co-trustees of the Spanos Family Trust dated February 6, 2002, and Rogaciano M. Estrada Jr. Family Trust dated February 6, 2002. Again, pursuant to Section 1245240 of the California Code of Civil Procedure, this item requires a 2/3 or 9-member approval vote to pass.
Mr. Chair,
Thank you.
Director Howard, Mr. Chair, I lost my phone connection during the last vote. Started a roll call. I did hear the entire presentation. I wanted to vote yes.
Thank you. So noted.
Yeah,
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Okay, we got you on the roll there. So directors, again, I'm going to open a public hearing. The good news is that we don't have to take A through F separately for a separate vote. There'll be one vote, one staff presentation, and we'll follow the same procedure as item number 9. So, Mr. DeGroot, if you would go ahead and give us your presentation. Oh, I'll open the public hearing now.
Good afternoon again, directors of the board. So, yeah, this presentation will be a little bit different than the other had been done before. We were combining all the properties, the 6 different resolutions in this one presentation. So, this is for resolutions of necessity numbers 2021-039, 2021-040, 2021-041, 2021-042, 2021-043, and 2021-044. So again, these resolutions of necessities authorize eminent domain actions to condemn real property interests for the Reach H component of Phase 4B of the American River Watershed Program, the Thomas Levee Improvement Project, fee acquisitions over portions of Sacramento County assessors parcel numbers 274-0173-040, 274-0173-021, 274-0173-026, 274-0173-028, 274-0173-038, 274-0173-024, and 274-0173-042. So again, the property owners of these properties are Jose A. Enriquez, Mario M. Fabian, Myra D. Gutierrez, Maria A. and Victor U. Sanchez, Linda Susan Martinez, and Dennis J. Spanos and Rebecca L. Spanos, who are co-trustees of the Spanos Family Trust, dated February 6, 2002, and the Rogaciano M. Estrada Jr. as trustee of the Rogaciano M. Estrada Jr. Family Trust, dated February 6 of 2002. So these properties are all located east of Northgate Boulevard between Columbus Avenue and the Arden Garden Connector in the Natomas Basin area of Sacramento County. And the acquisition of the properties are required for the Natomas East Main Drainage Canal West Levee component of the American River Watershed Common Features Project, Natomas Basin Phase 4B project. So here we have, again, a map of the Natomas Levee Improvement Project reaches. Reach A is down toward the bottom left of the map there. Attachment B is a map showing the locations of the properties, which are located again east of Northgate Boulevard between Columbus Avenue and the Arden Garden Connector in the Natomas Basin area of the City of Sacramento. So you can see the location down toward the bottom right, shown in the oval, and the arrow, the red arrow, and the location of the properties. Attachment C here is a sketch showing the levee improvements along Reach H, which include installing cutoff walls and flattening of the landside levee slope, and construction of an operation and maintenance road at the landside toe of the levee, And these particular properties are located where the arrow is pointing to toward the end of the sketch there, right toward and about in the middle and the bottom, and it shows patrol road and slope flattening. There's an arrow pointing to the location of the properties. So again, since that other map was pretty hard to see what's going on in this particular properties, this is a sketch showing the levee improvements and impacts that are along the Columbus Avenue section of Reach H. And you can see how all these properties are located adjacent to each other on Columbus Avenue, and they back up to the Art and Garden connector. And these properties are going to be encumbered by a patrol road that's going to go on the land side toe of the new levee. So again, these attachments are all relating to the various staff reports for each property. So attachment D to those staff reports are the project description and necessary for the acquisitions. Attachment D1 describes the environmental compliance documents supporting the project. Attachment D2 describes the environmental considerations involved in selecting the woodland and grassland mitigation sites for the project. And attachment D3 outlines various design considerations that were taken into account when designing the project. So on August 7th of 2019 and April 1st of 2020, Bender Rosenthal Incorporated, the Reach H appraiser, sent letters to all of the property owners advising them that the state and SAFCA were preparing an appraisal to acquire a portion of their property. Between December 16th, 2019 and February 5th of 2020, the state provided formal offers to purchase the property rights, which consisted of a fee acquisition over a portion of their parcel for the full fair market value that was determined by the appraisal. Attachment G is the diary of discussions between the state's right-of-way acquisition agent and the owner, during which they discussed the potential effects of the project on the property, the requirement, the interest in the property would need to be acquired to support the project, and the right-of-way acquisition process that would take place. Then on December 10th of 2020 and February 22nd, 2021, SAFCA sent letters to the property owners advising them that SAFCA will be taking over negotiations from the state relating to the acquisition of a portion of their property. On January 5th of 2021 and February 22nd of 2021, SAFCA provided formal offers to those property owners to purchase the property rights, which still consisted of a fee acquisition over a portion of their parcel for above the full fair market value that was determined by BRI appraisal. So then attachment J to each of the staff reports is a diary of discussions between SAFCA's right-of-way acquisition consultant and the owners, during which they discussed the potential effects of the project on the property, the requirement that the interest in the property would be needed to be acquired to support the project, and again, the right-of-way acquisition process that needed to take place. Since SAFCA took over the lead negotiations for these properties, we've had a few months to work at it. We've made some progress. However, in a property rights acquisition time frame, it's pretty tight. And at this point, we have not been able to reach formal agreement with these property owners for the rights needed for the project. So on March 26th of 2021, SAFCA mailed a written notice to the owners of the properties advising them that the board would hold a hearing at a regular board meeting today at this time to consider the adoption of resolution of necessities to acquire the property rights by eminent domain. So again, just again to show you the relation of these properties to each other, here are all the properties that are part of this presentation and these resolutions. So you can see they're adjacent to each other. They back up to the Arden Garden connector. So you have the Fabian Sanchez, Spanos, Enriquez, and Gutierrez properties shown there. And this other exhibit shows the remaining property, the Martinez property, at the tail end there of the stretch. So this is just, again, to reference yourself on how these properties are all related together. So here, I'll briefly go through the plat exhibits for each of the acquisitions of the resolutions. They're all pretty similar, but just so you can get an idea of how much of the property will be acquired. So here, Exhibit B to the staff report for Resolution 2021-039. You can see the fee acquisition for this resolution. It's the rectangle right in the middle of the exhibit with the arrow showing the location of it. And that is a fee acquisition. Next slide. Okay, again, here's Exhibit B to the staff report resolution for resolution number 2021-40. Again, you can see the rectangular acquisition area right in the middle of the exhibit. So these are at the bottom of the parcel. Okay, Lindy. Here is the acquisition exhibit for resolution number 2021-041. Another rectangular acquisition, fee acquisition toward the bottom of the parcel. You can see that outlined in the dark hash mark and with the arrow pointing to it. Here is the acquisition exhibit for resolution number 2021-042. Another rectangular exhibit, very similar to the previous ones. And you'll notice that these acquisitions, they all have a parcel number that is different than a SAFCA parcel number. So this one in particular is parcel 13898. So those are the parcel numbers that the state assigned to these areas when they were acquiring them. Okay, Lindy. So here is the exhibit for the acquisition area for resolution number 2021-043. Again, another fee acquisition. The bottom of the parcel shown there, it's a rectangular acquisition again. And finally, here is the acquisition exhibit for the final resolution, 2021-044. Another fee acquisition toward the bottom of the parcel. So again, we've come to this board requesting these resolutions today because we're still in our negotiations with these property owners. As of right now, we have not been able to reach a signed agreement with them. However, we've made some progress with some of them, and we're hopeful to be able to resolve those. But given the project timeline and the deadlines to certify the real estate to the Army Corps, we feel that we need to take these dual paths in order to preserve that timeline. So one path will be the potential legal path to secure the property rights, and then we will also continue negotiating with these property owners and hopefully be able to reach a voluntary transaction with them. So that is it for this presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Matt. So the public hearing is already open. Lindy, do we have any public comments or testimony?
I have not received any, Chairman Harris.
Okay, very good. Do directors from the board have any questions for Matt? Well, nobody's speaking up. Matt, I do have a question. On the satellite photograph, it almost looked like there was a little track behind those parcels existing already. Is that correct? It looked like not a road, but just kind of a dirt path, behind all of those parcels adjacent to the levee.
Yeah, Randy, would you mind going back up to that satellite exhibit?
Is this one you're looking for?
Yeah, that one and the one preceding at the, in between the Arden Garden connector and the homes, there's a strip there, kind of a brown strip. Is that actually a path, or what am I looking at there, Matt?
So, and John, please feel free to hop in here if you have any additional information. So that does, there will be an O&M road that is going to be toward the base of the new levee. And I can't say for certain if that is an existing pathway. I don't believe there was an existing pathway there, but John, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, what you're seeing there is kind of a play of shadows. Again, this is John Bassett, Director of Engineering. For the shadow of the Arden Garden connector and the shadow of the fence lines. There is some room at the toe of the existing Arden Garden embankment, but that slope is too steep to meet the Corps' levee design standards. It's at about a 1.5 to 1, and it needs to be flattened to a 2 to 1 slope, and that will cause the area at the toe to be moved out further into the backyards. And then there's a need for it to be widened a little bit to allow RD1000 to get along the toe of the embankment there, the flattened embankment, to be able to mow that levee slope where right now it's too narrow to get their mower in between the fence and the toe of the slope.
Mhm.
Yeah, understood. Thank you, John, for that clarification. These parcels do happen to be in my district, and I represent these property owners. It is, a little tight there, but I would say this, that we know that we've had a lot of under seepage and through seepage on the levee here, and that is certainly, from my point of view, these improvements are definitely necessary and will benefit the property owners in terms of safety moving forward. So just my 2 cents there. Are there any other questions from directors? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion. We only need one motion for all of these RONs.
Move to approve, Conant.
Second.
Conant and Frost, first and second. And seeing no further comment, Lindy, will you take a roll call vote, please?
Thank you. Director Conant,
Aye.
Director Abdus,
Aye.
Director Jones,
Aye, and I believe it was me that seconded.
Oh, okay, very good. Thank you.
I'll make that correction. Thank you. Director Holloway,
Aye.
Director Shaw,
Aye.
Director Ashby, Director Harris,
Aye?
Director Jennings,
Aye.
Director Desmond,
Aye.
Director Frost,
Aye.
Director Kennedy,
Aye.
Director Natoli,
Aye.
Director Cerna.
Aye.
Motion passes with 12-member approval.
Very good. Thank you, Lindy. It looks like the balance of the agenda are receive and file items, correct?
That is correct.
And there's quite a lot of information there, I would add. A lot of status reports and reports of construction contract change orders for your reading pleasure. So that is basically the conclusion of our business today. Do we have any further questions or comments from board directors? Well, you're a very loquacious crowd today. We appreciate all your comments. And that being said, if you really have nothing more, then I would say that this meeting can adjourn. Thank you all for participating. It was good to see y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, Jeff.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.